Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. Excuse me. Apologize for that. So today is July 24th, 2025, and we are looking at Proverbs chapter 24. We're going to look at verse 11 and also 23 through 25. Verse 11 says this: "Rescue those being taken off to death and save those stumbling towards slaughter." You know, so many times we see verses like this and we assume that we have to save everyone. We need to make sure that nobody has to deal with any consequences for their actions, negative consequences for their actions. Oh, and let's be honest, that's really what we want. We want grace, right? I mean, we all know, if we're honest with ourselves, that we deserve the punishment that comes our way for living the life we've lived. Even after we accept Jesus Christ, there are times where we know that we really deserve the punishment that should be coming to us. But because of mercy and grace, we are grateful for the life we have to live. And so we read verses like this and we say, rescue those being taken off to death and save those stumbling towards slaughter. And we assume that mercy needs to be given to everyone. You know what? As much as I really love that concept, that's not really what Solomon is saying. He's saying, pay attention to the people that are being taken captive and do what you can to show them how to avoid that captivity. See, in verse 23 through 25, we read this: "It is not good to show partiality in judgment. Whoever says to the guilty, 'You are innocent,' people will curse him, and tribes will denounce him. But it will go well with those who convict the guilty, and a generous blessing will come to them." See, in the world we live in the world you live in, when you do something wrong, you shouldn't be upset about having to accept the consequences for your actions. And you should be overjoyed when mercy and grace gets poured out towards you. Recognizing that you are in a place where the negative consequences should be poured out, and yet they don't. And you should never be the one who just throws away a consequence because, well, it's not nice. The world tells us to love means we accept whatever is going on, and that is not love at all. Love is pointing out the trappings of living wrongly, the trappings of being taken off to death, stumbling towards slaughter. We need to point those out. You know, there's another place in Solomon's writings where he says, don't avoid punishing a child with a good whooping. Those are my words. I know it doesn't say it that way. It doesn't spoil. Don't spare the rod, right? Teach him the way he should go, and in the end, he will not veer from it. When it comes down to it today, guys, we need to point out those things that are wrong in others, yes, but more importantly, in ourselves. And show the world what those consequences were. You know, as an addict, I have experienced many negative consequences in my life. And one of the best things I can do is look at somebody living that life today, even though I'm not, and say to them, you know, I've lived that life. And these are the things that I did, and these are the consequences that I experienced, and I'm betting you're experiencing some of those as well. And here's the blessings that I didn't deserve, but what God poured out into my life because of His grace and mercy after I turned and started looking at Him. See, rescuing those taken off to death and saving those stumbling towards slaughter isn't about taking away their feeling of guilt and shame. It's about pointing out what's wrong and the right way to go. And that's why Solomon was able to say, it's not good to show partiality in judgment. Whoever says to the guilty, you're innocent, people will curse him and tribes will denounce him. But it will go well with those who convict the guilty, and a generous blessing will come to them. The guilty, convict the guilty, and a generous blessing will come to the guilty. When we finally accept that what we've done and the consequences we have are real, and we want to make a change, and we put our focus on Jesus Christ, everything changes. But it's a continual day in and day out action. Something to think about as you engage with the world today. I love y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.